So in East Africa, 2015 was a very interesting year. It was a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids kind of year because the HRA was reduced by 55% or 1.7 million square miles. Currently, EU NAVFOR Atalanta has only 3 warships in the region and 2 aircraft, as opposed to an average of 10 assets per year in the past. Of course, EU NAVFOR Atalanta's mandate has been extended to December 2018, which clearly indicates that there is a reason for this force to be there under the mandate that it is. Having said that, though, each frigate to be maintained in the area of operations costs about 1.8 million euros a month. So under current conditions, that's a lot of money, and nations are not very willing to spend it. Let's look at the first incident of 2016, which came early. It was in January 27th. And this is the incident. It was the MSC Clara. It was targeted by pirates. There was an exchange of fire. The armed security team on board stopped the incident of getting worse, but there was mixed reporting, and it was known that one of the aggressors was shot dead. EU NAVFOR and UKMTO have came out after that, shortly after, and said that it's not like that. Nobody got killed. So there is a problem in the reporting in the region, and this is identified by this incident as well. Overall, we had 15 incidents in 2016 to date. Some of them were really crazy, like the first one that I'm going to talk about, which is an Iranian tanker that was attacked in the Bab el-Mandeb by 115 pirates on board 10 skiffs. At least this is what the Iranian Navy said. And of course, the Iranian Navy stopped it. I have a little bit of trouble believing that there were so many and that the Iranians were the only ones that saw it, but this was reported. Most of the incidents are based around Yemen, and it's interesting to see why they generate from that region, not from Somalia, but primarily from Yemen this time. And most of them are in the Bab el-Mandeb. Recently, it came out in the light that underreporting of incidents in the HRA of the Indian Ocean is quite big, much bigger than I personally thought. But it mainly involves local traders, dhows, gel boots, etc., and fishing vessels that are operating in the region. So then this next slide, okay, 2009, 10, 11 was really happening for them. In 2016, though, we see a rise of attacks and of hijackings in the Indian Ocean. I must stress, of course, that the last time a large international merchant vessel was captured was in 2012. So the numbers that we're seeing here are, again, local traders and fishing vessels. This is taken from the website of Oceans Beyond Piracy, and it indicates with gray dots the incidents that have gone underreported. So as you can see, most of them are in all of them are in the Somali Basin, and a couple of them are quite far out from the coast. We're not going to stay too much on East Africa because it's a topic that is very well known, and I'd rather speak more about West Africa. So the HRA has shrunk, naval assets have been reduced, the cost to fight Somali-based piracy has dropped, the number of PMSCs operating has minimized, a lot of them have closed. And one major topic, for us especially, is that the quality of the PMSCs that are operating has been seriously affected by this drop. So anybody that is contracting a PMSC should do good due diligence. I get this question very often, is there any risk? I believe that there is a risk because all the KPIs for the region indicate that a resurgence of Somali-based piracy is just a matter of time. And I think this is common knowledge to all. What I say always, what I respond to that is if we've become too relaxed or too complacent, then the clans will wake up and of course we'll have incidents again. So my advice is don't be complacent, don't become the next first victim in the Indian Ocean. West Africa. This is an incident map taken from Clearwater, and it indicates the last 6 months, everything that's been happening in that region. Red is the dominant color, and red is an attack. In the past, we had said again and again that most incidents in Nigeria, for example, happen in territorial waters. So that's a 12 nautical mile range. That is not true anymore because now they've moved further offshore, and have gone out to 150 nautical miles. So we see most of the attacks happening in the exclusive economic zone rather than just the narrow strip of the 12 nautical mile range. So taking a closer look at Nigeria. Nigerian maritime criminality is, of course, well organized, it's well armed, and these guys are well trained. I don't know who trains them, but they are well trained. There's a high level of threat throughout the year. They don't stop because of monsoons or anything else. They just continue to operate. They're ruthless. They have little to no respect to human life, as we all know. Most attacks are intelligence-based, but they're also opportunistic attacks. So if they see a soft target in their vicinity, they will have no problem attacking it. Some misconceptions about Nigeria is that these gangs, these militants, only attack tankers. They don't. They attack every kind of vessel, from OSVs to container vessels, bulk carriers, whatever they find, they will attack it. They only operate in territorial waters. I covered that. It's not a fact. They attack anywhere in the exclusive economic zone. They do harm the crew. There are mock executions, there are beatings, and if the crew is being kidnapped, and there's an issue about their release when ransom is paid, we see that those crews have not been treated well. They've been kept in conditions that are very low hygiene, and sometimes they need to be hospitalized before they're returned to their families. Another misconception is that the Navy patrols that area and it's safe. Somebody saying that is living in denial because the Navy cannot patrol the entire area, and it is definitely not safe. So some incidents of particular interest have been off Akwa Ibom State, within the mobile fields. The Johan Quest, and I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, was attacked, fired upon, and saved by a security vessel. One crew member suffered a shot wound in the leg. A container vessel was attacked near Pennington, 27 nautical miles offshore. It was boarded, and it's interesting to see this incident. I'm not going to name the vessel, but in this incident, the crew realized that they were under attack when they saw the pirates on board. So they were totally relaxed that container vessels are not a high-risk type of vessel, and they were fully complacent about it. So 3 crew members were kidnapped and later released after the ransom was paid. Chemical tankers and generally motor tankers are particularly vulnerable from the past, and these incidents indicate 118 nautical miles south-southwest of Port Harcourt. The pirates boarded the vessel and took 6 crew members of Turkish nationality to an onshore location where they were held until ransom was paid, and later they were released. The Ottoman Equity, which is another Turkish vessel, was attacked just outside of Akbami FPSO. It was waiting to do cargo operations. The vessel managed to evade the attack because there were security measures deployed. The Madonna 1 is a very famous incident for anybody that is looking into maritime criminality in the Gulf of Guinea. It was attacked 20 nautical miles offshore. 4 crew members were taken hostages, and again, they were released after ransom was paid. So what can we do for maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea? There are a lot of things we can do. MDAT Gulf of Guinea is our reporting scheme. It's voluntary, and the vessel's movements are reported. Vessel hardening, of course, works. BNP4 plus additional guidance for that specific region is advised. PMSEs working with government security forces, in Nigeria it's the Nigerian Navy, can provide escort vessels that are armed, and can also provide armed personnel of that government security force to embark the client vessel and protect it. Maritime security liaison officers are also an unarmed, very good solutions because it takes away a lot of the stress from the master and the chief officer in regards to the security of the vessel. Intelligence is very important, and it's got to be area specific and continuously updated because things change rapidly there. If contracting a PMSE in the Gulf of Guinea, you have to make sure that it's an indigenous company. A foreign company is not allowed to operate within Nigeria, for example. there needs to be an agreement between that PMSE and the government security forces, the Nigerian Navy for Nigeria. The PMSE must have access to purposely built escort vessels and that they have to be approved by the government security forces. What happens is the escort vessels are private. I am company A, I own the escort vessels, and the crew manning that vessel is mine. But I also have an agreement with the Nigerian Navy, and they supply me with the weapons and the guards. So there are two teams on board. One is the vessel's crew, the other one is the Nigerian Navy team, which is the armed security team. The PMSE must be adequately insured. A lot of conversation on that specific matter. BIMCO guard codes for West Africa are amended. It's different wording. You take out whatever has to do with the Indian Ocean and you add wording to it based on BIMCO advice for West Africa. I have heard a lot of things about that region, especially operating there. I've heard people tell me all sorts of different things that are not necessarily true. So some myths about the whole place is that weapons can be privately owned or used by guards. They can't. Nobody can privately own or use weapons in Nigeria. So no private armed guards are allowed to the full extent of the exclusive economic zone. It's not just the territorial waters. They will look at the full extent, up to 250 nautical miles. If a vessel comes into the EEZ with an armed team on board and it's inspected, it will be detained. The PMSE, although has his own rules of use of force, they cannot be implemented because the government security forces have their own mandate from their government and they will go by their own rules of use of force. So it is illegal to contract government security forces through shipping agents. You have to go through a PMSE. And non-Nigerians working unarmed as security advisors on ships are permitted as long as they're contracted by a Nigerian company and have a work permit. I'm very happy because I have 36 seconds left. Fantastic timing. I had to take out 3 slides because I was going over 15 minutes previously. So the precondition to freedom is security. I didn't say that. Mr. Rand Beers said that of the Department of Homeland Security, and it's something that I really appreciate and go by every single day.